My name is Courtney. My story is that I joined a group of moms in 2014. It happened when we lost our first son, full term, stillborn, and I was catapulted into this world of baby loss and struggling to find hope and faith. I was born into a family of four. I'm the oldest of two siblings. I have a younger brother, and we had a pretty awesome family, I would say. I was very, very blessed in my upbringing. So for me, having a family was of the utmost importance. I just couldn't wait to be a mom. So when I was 20, I started dating this guy who was actually one of my mom's good friend's son. And my mom really, really wanted us to be together. He had a lot of issues that kind of presented themselves in the beginning that were a little bit alarming. We got married and it did not go so well. I mean, it was a little bit challenging. We got pregnant about 5 years, I guess it was. He was very supportive through the pregnancy, I will say. She was born, and then things just kind of took a downturn. And I quickly realized that I couldn't have any more children with him. Things got pretty abusive, and at the end of the day, there was some physical abuse that occurred. So I finally got out of that, and I knew that her and I were going to be just fine. She would come home from school at the end of the day, and this time she was only in preschool and in kindergarten. And it would be like, oh gosh, he's home, he's going to be yelling, he's going to be mad at you. And she would very much go into protection mode for me, which you don't want your child to ever have to experience or be put in that position. So to be on the other side of it, then it was a great, great blessing to be free. And at the time when we were, first separated, I didn't ever want to get into another relationship again. So I kind of gave up on that dream of having this big family and finding love, because at that point I was pretty jaded and didn't believe it really existed. The physical stuff only happened a few times, and it was not like I never got punched in the face, but it was like I got pushed down the staircase and I had a phone thrown at me, or I had my phone, smacked out of my hand. And the biggest part of the abuse was very emotional and very, very verbal. So my very best friend, she signs me up for online dating one night. She's coming to visit, and it's a couple months after I'm separated, and she gets on the computer and she creates this profile for me on Match.com against my wishes. So then I just started looking at it for fun. Okay, well, let's just see what happens. It's gonna hurt anything just to meet new people. So I go out on a few dates, and then I sign up for a couple more dating services. And I finally come across this profile, and I had never reached out to anybody on my own. It was always, I would respond to people reaching out to me. But I came across this guy's profile, and his picture just struck me. Like, the things that he was saying in his profile, it just really kind of captured me. And I remember his tagline was, "You make me want to be a better man." And then the top of his paragraph was, "I'm a jack of all trades, master at none." And then everything that he went to describe about himself, I was just like, oh, I think I kind of want to meet this guy. So I sent him a message, and he responded. Him and I talked until 3 o'clock in the morning, from 9 o'clock at night. I was like, oh no, what is this? Very next day, same thing. We started talking about 9, 10 o'clock at night, talked till 3 o'clock in the morning. And at the time, he had never been married, and he was working at a bar down in Capitola Village. I decided I was going to go charge into his bar and meet him. I went down at night, and I walked into that bar, and I saw him from across the way. And I swear to God, it was like something out of a movie. He stopped what he was doing, and he looked up at me, and I looked across the bar at him, and I was like, oh gosh, I am in trouble. So I walked across the bar, and I introduced myself, and he grabbed my hand. And then I looked at him and I said, yeah, I think I'm in trouble. And he just started laughing, and we hit it off. It was amazing. I went into the bar again the next night to hang out with him just so I could see him. And then on Tuesday, May 8th, we had our very first official date, and it was just lovely. I mean, everything about him I adored. Though he had never thought that a family was going to be in his future. But it wasn't for a little while that we kind of started talking about forever, because I was still very guarded and very nervous about moving forward with somebody. It was only about a year after my separation and divorce that I met him. I had a daughter to think about, so there was a lot of variables that went into, navigating this new relationship. But I knew that he was kind of it without wanting to know that he was it. So we met in May, and then by October we decided that, he was going to move in with us, and we talked about having kids and decided that we weren't going to try to stop it, but we weren't going to try to do it either. We were just going to kind of see what happened. And I was older at the time. I was in my late 30s when I met him. And so by June, I found out that I was pregnant, which was terrifying and so exciting all at the same time. We waited a little bit. We told our parents, but we kind of kept it under wraps for a little bit just because, we didn't want our daughter to know right away. We waited till I was about 4 months along to tell her. And she loved to play the game Hangman. So to tell her, we sat at the table and we got her this big sister necklace because it was something she always wanted to be. And the pregnancy was amazing. We found out that we were having a little boy and we were overjoyed. We started making plans and, purchasing the furniture and picking out the bedding, and the two of them painted his little room together. And it was just such a beautiful time in our lives. Like, we could have never, ever anticipated how it was going to end. 39 weeks, my mom flew back out from Pennsylvania. She was living in Pennsylvania at the time, and she came out to be here for the arrival. The week before she got here, I had an appointment with the midwife. My doctor was out of town, and I went in, and you get up on the table and she puts that Doppler on your belly, and she couldn't find his heartbeat right away, but I wasn't really concerned. It didn't strike me as odd. Looking back, I probably should have asked to probe a little bit further, but she was finally able to find it, and he was moving all around, and it was great. Went home. My mom flew out on a Sunday, I believe it was. I remember we ordered this pizza from this random pizza place that was supposed to induce, labor, and had the pizza and it didn't work. And on Tuesday, his due date was March 8th, 2014. And we had a couple of names, that we were thinking about naming him, but nothing was decided. So Tuesday, March 4th, at about 11 o'clock at night, we were watching TV and I started having contractions, but they weren't very strong. They were pretty mild. So about after an hour of that, I decided we should probably go to bed and get some sleep. I had a regularly scheduled doctor's appointment the next morning and was going to go in and have my membrane stripped to kind of just push things along. Got up that morning and I got ready. So we go in for my appointment. It was a 10 o'clock in the morning appointment. Went into the room, sat down in the chair, and I hopped up on the table and we waited for the doctor to come in. She came in and she pulled out the Doppler, squeezes the jelly on your belly and puts the Doppler on, and it was just silent, nothing, which didn't really strike me as odd because it had just happened to me the week before and everything ended up being fine. But then she kept searching and she kept searching and she kept searching. It was just quiet. So then my mind is racing and she's asking me a bunch of questions and I'm not really able to kind of put things together. And she's asking me, when did you last feel him move? When did you last feel him move? And I couldn't remember feeling him that morning when I was getting ready. I remember feeling him the night before and, throughout the night when I was sleeping, but I couldn't remember the last time I had actually felt him move. So she whisks us off to the ultrasound room and again puts me up on the table, and the ultrasound tech was there. The doctor walks out of the room, I think, puts the jelly on my belly, puts the Doppler on my belly, and the TV screen was right across from us, laying on the table, and he was laying face down and he was totally still. There was no heartbeat. He wasn't moving. He was gone. And so I remember he was sitting to my left, and I looked at him and I just remember saying to him, I'm not going to survive this. Before that, I was screaming, cut me open, please cut me open, please cut me open, get him out. Just get him out and resuscitate him. You can bring him back, can't you? I was just feeling him all night long. Please get him out. My whole world collapsed. I really didn't think that I was going to survive. And I specifically said, I will not come back from this. And then my daughter popped into my head and I said, she's definitely not going to come back from this. Her and I, we'd already been through so much. And I felt like I was pulling the rug out from underneath her again. And I don't remember what happened next. I just remember we were in the car on the way back to my house. We come inside and we walked up the stairs, and I don't even remember tell my mom. I just remember seeing her drop to the ground. And the rest of those next couple hours, I mean, were just kind of a blur. You immediately go through like every moment of your pregnancy. You automatically blame yourself because it is. I mean, you're the one who is supposed to keep them safe. You're the one who's supposed to grow them. When that doesn't happen, you just feel like such a failure, like the biggest failure that probably you could ever experience. You did something wrong. This was something I did. I caused this. And now I'm causing all of this pain for my family. It's such a horrible mind game that you play with yourself because you're so desperately looking for answers. You're so desperately wanting a tangible reason to make sense of what happened. And there just isn't one. We were given the option to be induced and go right over to the hospital and deliver him, or we could do a C-section, but we had to do a C-section the next day. And because I didn't know how long he had been gone for, my only vision was, because I make really big babies, is pushing him out, and this is horrible, but the only thing I kept picturing was, I'm going to push him out and all of his skin's going to come sloughing right off. He's going to be like de-skinned. And I didn't want that. So we opted for the C-section, and I had to wait until the next day. So we went to the hospital on March 6th. And I will say, like, the hospital staff overall, our first few nurses were amazing. So kind and so gentle and just so loving. And they also advised, you know, spend time with him, take pictures. We had brought a blanket with us that my aunt made for him. But we didn't bring an outfit with us, which I really wish we would have done because we only just had the blanket to wrap him up in. But again, at that point, I was also thinking, I'm not even going to see him. Just get him out of me and be done. And then it was time to wheel me in. They had me go in by myself. Couldn't go in with me at the time. They had to get him prepped for surgery. So I sat up on the table and they were trying to do the epidural, and they were having such a tough time with it because I was crying so hard. Like I couldn't catch my breath crying. And I just remember the heat from the tears just dropping down on my face. So they finally got the epidural in, and then they let him into the room, and it was time to get him out. And half of my C-section I could feel. I wasn't numb all the way on the right side. I remember like feeling the pain, but not feeling the pain because I was so numb from everything that was going on around me. And he was born silently March 6, 2014 at 1:12 p.m. And as soon as he was out, I screamed, I needed to see him. Please let me see him. And so they got him wrapped up and they took him into the room that we were staying in, and my mom got to give him his first bath. And I went back in there and we wrapped him up in his blanket, and we spent like a good 4 or 5 hours with him. At the time, we didn't know there was such a thing called a cuddle cot, which would have allowed us to spend a lot more time with him. And I feel like our time was really shortened because he was decomposing pretty quickly, and even when he was born, some of his skin had torn off. But I soaked in every inch of that baby boy. I mean, I opened his eyes. I even opened his diaper because I needed to see, you know, every single inch of him I needed to have ingrained into my brain. I just needed to remember him. And when it was time for him to be wheeled off, the nurse pulled out a black body bag, this tiny black body bag. And I remember looking at Ken and we both screamed at her, "What are you doing?" And she looked at us kind of like stunned. And we're like, you can't do that. You can't take him out of this room in that bag. Like, this is not our last memory of him. So my mom walked out with her to go take him down to the morgue and say her final goodbyes too. You know, when you lose a baby, you don't really quite realize the gravity that it has on everybody around you. Your friends, your family members, the grandparents, the siblings. It's not just your loss. It kind of felt like our community's loss as well. And that was that. They took him away and we decided to have him cremated so that we could bring him home with us. When he told, she was obviously beyond upset and didn't really understand, couldn't quite grasp what that meant. And after a few weeks, when I was finally able to start driving, and I remember taking her to school one morning and she just lost it on me. Now, mind you, he was supposed to have been her 9th birthday present. He was due March 8th and her birthday is March 13th. So she was patiently waiting to become a big sister for her 9th birthday. I was driving her to school one morning and she just unleashed the fury on me and blamed me for what happened, which Of course, I already felt like it was my fault, but to hear her, this is your fault. What did you do? Why couldn't you save him? Now I'm not going to get to be a big sister. And it was soul crushing. But I just sat there and I listened to her. Like, I couldn't really say anything. You know, what do you say to your almost 9-year-old who was also so anticipating this baby to be born? So I got back and I told my mom what had happened, and he picked her up from school that day and talked to her about it. And obviously she was just so very angry and so very sad and just looking to place blame anywhere. And we worked through it as a family. Those first few weeks, all of us, the three of us, we just stayed out in our family room on a mattress together, and we just really kind of soaked each other in and just shut out the entire world for the most part. Parents flew out from Florida to be there for us, and we decided to have a memorial service for him, which was beautiful. We did it at the park right by our house, and we lit off lanterns and had candles. And it was at that memorial service that we, gave her necklace and said, you're still a big sister. Even though he's not here with us, you're still a big sister. So we actually, unfortunately, had another loss after Cabin. We decided that we were going to try again. In between that time, we had started writing other baby loss names in the sand. We started an online Facebook support group called Angels in the Sand. I kept reading everywhere that, the best therapy is, sand, salt, tears. So I would go down to the beach and I would write his name in the sand. And it really kind of brought a lot of healing to me. It just felt good because it felt like he was there, and okay, I'm seeing his name in the sand. So he did exist. He was here. He is still a part of our family. And so we opened it up to other people online because we had found these communities of loss. So it was bringing also a lot of comfort and healing to other families, which brought us great joy. We decided pretty quickly after we lost him that we were going to try again. We were determined to have our rainbow baby, and we had to wait 6 months before we could start trying again. We started trying again in September of 2014. October actually was my birthday. October 2014, and by December, I found out I was pregnant again. And it was December 19th, and I saw those two little lines again, and I was terrified. And I was so happy that those were there, but I was so on edge about even acknowledging that it was real. So I remember I kept the pregnancy test. I'd come home from work, and I sat him down on the couch in front of the Christmas tree because the house is all decorated for Christmas. And I remember telling him how much I appreciated him. And honestly, it was really his support that got me through. And I pulled out the test and I gave it to him, and he was shocked. And he was so very excited. Like, it didn't seem like he was fearful at all. He was just joyous. Okay, here we go. We're going to do this. Unfortunately, we took that 10-week blood test that you can take, tells you the sex of your baby and if there's any genetic anomalies. And it came back and we were told that the baby possibly has Down syndrome, which I didn't think anything of it. They had told me that my daughter had Down syndrome also, and she was perfectly healthy. But if you want to have confirmation, you can go into Stanford and it's like an amniocentesis, but it's for early in your trimester. And we were like, okay, well, sure, let's go. Let's just go do the testing anyway. So we went in, and again, here we go. I'm already terrified because now I've got, PTSD every time I get up on the table and they go to give me an ultrasound. And we're having another boy, and we lay down and the jelly goes on the belly and the wand goes on top. And we could see immediately, like, he had all the markers for Down syndrome. However, his body had not also developed. His legs were fused together, his arms hadn't developed correctly, and they pretty much immediately told us that he was not compatible with life. So they send us into a room and they ask us, we need you to kind of have a plan here. What's your decision? We would advise you, that he's not going to be compatible with life. So he's either going to pass away during pregnancy, or he'll pass away in delivery, or at least within, a few days or weeks. So here we are again, wanting to bring home our baby, but now being told that we have to choose between ending his life and possibly bringing him into this world, but losing him anyway, which is a really decision to have to make. We had to think about our daughter. Like, okay, are we going to take the gamble of him being born? They're telling us, that he's not going to survive. We can see on the screen that he is, not developed properly. So we made the decision to say goodbye to him, which was awful. On top of that, the most awful thing is it didn't feel the same gravity of losing Kevin, which really kind of messes with your head, because how do you really value one baby's life over another? But I was almost 14 weeks and I went in and I had to have a D&E. They asked us again if we wanted to see him, and I emphatically this time said no. But could you please take, handprints and footprints for us? So they did that for us, and they were the tiniest little things. And we said goodbye to him. We didn't give him an official name, but we do call him Nugget, and we do also honor him. So then we forge ahead. There was no joy in this pregnancy at all. I was determined to just kind of disassociate myself from it, because whatever was going to come my way, I needed to be able to compartmentalize the emotions of where I'd been and where I was maybe going again, because I wasn't guaranteed that I was going to get to bring this baby home. Here I am, I've already lost 2 babies, so what makes this one? Who knows what's going to happen? So we do the 10-week blood test, and surprise, we're having another baby boy, and all of his genetic markers at that point had come back just fine. And then I stupidly took the second trimester testing that you do at about 18-19 weeks, and I'd forgotten I wanted to defer that test, because I had deferred it with Kevin because it was so incorrect when I had taken it with my daughter. My doctor calls me before I have to go into a genetic counseling, and she tells me, well, we got the test back, and I have to tell you that it looks like your baby has this skin condition called ichthyosis, where basically his skin is going to be peeling and burned for his entire life. And he probably won't be able to live a normal life like a normal kid, because there's a lot of medical issues that come along with this condition. And so here we go again. I remember I was sitting in my car in the parking lot at work. I was on my break when she was telling me, and it was raining, and I just drove home. So we scheduled the appointment to go in for genetic counseling, and couldn't come with me at the time, unfortunately. We had just gotten married, actually right before that, on Halloween. And so it was in November of 2015. My best friend comes in with me, and I sit down in front of the genetic counselor who knew my history. I'd met her before, and she looks at me and she goes, well, I don't think that your baby has this skin condition. And I remember she took my paperwork and she flipped it this way and pushed it right in front of me and said, but do you see these numbers? Yeah. Well, these numbers, I need you to be prepared that your baby doesn't have a heartbeat. And I look over at my friend, and every ounce of color in her face drained. And I looked at the genetic counselor and I said, but what do you mean? I can feel him moving right now. And she kind of looked at me and went, oh, you do? That must be phantom kicks or something, because the numbers would indicate that he doesn't have a heartbeat. Immediately shut down, but I'm still feeling him, so I'm hanging on to the smallest shred of hope possible. They send us out into the waiting room. We get called back into the ultrasound room, and here we go again. Jelly on the belly. My heart is pounding out of my chest. My best friend is squeezing my hand for dear life. She puts the wand on my belly, and there he is, dancing all around. Heart beating strong. You can see his hair in the fluid floating around. He had a huge head of hair, and I hear the doctors in the back of the office screaming and hooting and hollering. The doctor comes in, congratulations, he's perfectly healthy, there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, thank God. But at this point, we were only halfway through the pregnancy, and I still had 5 more months to go, 4.5 more months to go. And so we went home, and we didn't really plan for anything. We didn't have a shower. We didn't really want to acknowledge the pregnancy. So we scheduled a C-section, an early C-section, because I wasn't about to wait till 40 weeks. So we scheduled our C-section for April 11th, 2016. And we went in, and he was delivered, and he was huge. He weighed in at 10 pounds, 4 ounces, and was 23 inches long. And when he was delivered, I had asked, even though he's a C-section, can you please put him on me as soon as possible? So I got to cut his cord, and they put him on my chest, and they allowed me to wear my memorial necklace for Kevin, it's a starfish and it has his ashes in it. And sure enough, they put our beautiful, larger than life baby on my chest. And the first thing he did was grab that starfish, which really made us feel like Kevin was there with us too. It was so beautiful for this baby who was fresh out of the womb to just reach up and grab it. It was just so magical. So yeah, we just forged ahead, and little by little, you know, it got, I don't want to say easier because it doesn't get easier. You don't get through it. You don't get past it. You just kind of learn to make it a part of your life. It becomes a part of who you are. So you try to find small victories. And, you know, we started the Angels in the Sand, which brought us a lot of healing. We decided that we were going to celebrate Kevin's birthday every single year, and we do. We had a memorial bench started for him in our town where we decorate it every year on his birthday. But in that grieving and in that darkness, you do have to fight to find the light. It's really, really hard. And some days you don't. And you have to know that that's okay. It's okay to feel like your world has come crashing down and has ended, because it has. But you don't want to reside there. You can't stay there. You have to really pick yourself up and dust yourself off and really lean on the people around you.